All right, welcome back, Truth Seeker. Another rigged NFL season's underway, as well as another rigged college football season. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the Brewers being the ninth team to have a no-hitter this year. Remember how the first no-hitter of the year was on the 99th day of the year? We'll see how this all comes together. Last night, the Indians get no-hit for the third time this season, and the same pitcher for the Indians has been on the mound in all three no-hitters, Zach Plesac, whose father used to play for the Brewers, who just got the third no-hitter against him. Again, you guys, like I've been telling you, sports are an obvious script. I mean, painfully obvious worldwide. Yesterday, Ronaldo got his 119th goal with Manchester United on 11/9. I mean, it's such obvious numerical ritual. And when you know this knowledge that we teach here year in and year out for 8 years straight, I mean, you can just take advantage of these rigged games so often. And sometimes you'll come up short, but like, for example, but before we even get into this, something I came up short on, a prediction that just barely came up short today, was Novak Djokovic. At the beginning of the year, I said he'd win all 4 Grand Slams and be the first player to 21. And you know what? He won the first 3, and he made it to the championship in the 4th, and he lost today. And again, the reason I had that prediction at the beginning of the year is because this was the 53rd year of the Grand Slams being the Australian Open, the French Open, Wimbledon, the U.S. Open, and that's Novak Djokovic's number. His name in Gematria equals 53. This year, Wimbledon was 53 days after his birthday. That was his 3rd major that he won this year. And, he came up short against old Medvedev on 12/9, right? And notice the man who won it, his name equals 129, wins it on 12/9 as we get the explosion in Atlanta by the numbers. Again, from the news to the sports, it's all rigged, and when you know Gematria, you can see through all of it. So let's go over the NFL games. As a community, our favorite game this week was the upset of the Saints beating the Packers. And notice they smoked them. I love the final score, too. I love the final score of this game. If you guys are new here, since the beginning of teaching you Gematria, I've taught you with the same 2 ciphers that I learned from Manly P. Hall's The Secret Teachings of All Ages. And I've done so many videos over the years with Green Bay talking about the numbers 77 and 41. And the reason that we liked New Orleans to upset Green Bay today is because New Orleans with a win would become 7-7 at home all time versus Green Bay. And notice there were 41 points scored in the game. Green Bay equals 77 when you just add up the letters as numbers. G's the 7th letter of the alphabet. R's the 18th. E's the 5th. E's the 5th. N's the 14th. Just A is 1 up to Z is 26. Green Bay equals 41 when you use the alphabetic order with the rules numerology. So G still 7. R, the 18th letter, becomes 9 because the numerology of R, the 18th letter, is 1 plus 8 is 9. So that's why R is 9. E, the 5th letter, still 5. E still 5, but N also becomes 5 because N's the 14th letter. The numerology of 14 is 1 plus 4 is 5. So again, very simple code. Manly P. Hall revealed this knowledge nearly a century ago in his book, The Secret Teachings of All Ages. And sometimes I think I might be the only guy in the world who read that book and that page of that book and said, man, I want to apply this and see if this is going on in the world. And it wasn't before long that I realized that all the news was scripted this way, and so were the sports games, and I've been teaching you guys about it for 8 years straight. But today, New Orleans becomes 7-7 versus Green Bay with 41 points combined scored in the game, right? What a ritual in our 2 most classic ciphers. And, you got to ask yourself, why did they decide to play in the Jaguar Stadium? I'm sure there were plenty of other football stadiums they could have played in today. But they chose the Jaguar Stadium because Jaguars is 77. See, that just added to the ritual. New Orleans was getting to 7-7 versus Green Bay all time. Remember, we've talked about Aaron Rodgers, fake injuries by the number 77. We've talked about these same 2 numbers so many times with the Packers over the years. It's beyond counting. So, Saints, great upset today, and a game that you were feeling good about early on. I mean, Saints were just moving the ball all over Green Bay. Green Bay didn't look like they brought it today. And here, we'll just go through the NFL games, and then we'll talk about college. Because college, hey, yesterday, did you guys have your nice upset with Oregon over the Buckeyes? Because we saw it a mile away in this community. Buckeyes fell to 9-1 versus Oregon all time, and there's more to it. See how Buckeyes is 91? Look at Oregon Ducks. 51. Ohio State was 9-0 versus Oregon and 5-0 at home before yesterday, falling to 9-1 like Buckeyes 91 and 5-1 at home versus the Oregon Ducks. And then keep in mind, 91's the 13th triangular number and Ducks is 13. That's why Justin Herbert's playing down in LA, 13 land. Okay. So, something that I advise for a parlay today. Remember, this NFL week began on September 9th, right? 9-9. Tom Brady and Rob Gronkowski. In Tom Brady's 666th career touchdown pass, it was his 99th to Rob Gronkowski on 9-9. And remember, that's the day in history that the United States of America was named. And if you write out the United States of America, it's 99. And remember, with the most simple cipher, it's New England, which equals 99, right? New England won the 99th NFL season. In that season, Tom Brady picked up his 99th career road win in Arrowhead Stadium, which equals 99, advancing to the Super Bowl. So based on that knowledge and the memory of covering that, we talked about a nice little 99 parlay in the NFL today. It was with two QBs and a coach that were all connected to losing to Tom Brady, Mr. 99 in Super Bowl history. Today, Matt Ryan got his 99th career loss. Russell Wilson, with head ref Tony Corrente, number 99 on the field, got his 99th career win. Pete Carroll also picked up his 123rd win with Seattle. Indianapolis equals 123. But Russell Wilson got his 99th win. And in the Chiefs game, my people were getting worried about the Chiefs because I wasn't looking good late. But I always tell people, just chill out. Don't even watch these games. I don't even watch these games, you guys. I don't want to watch these games. They're garbage. But people were always, man. I always got people communicating and stressing like, oh, man, the Chiefs are about to ruin my day. It's like, God, the game's not even over yet. You know, if it's going to ruin your day, wait for it to happen. Don't pretend like the game's already over and it's not even over. But Andy Reid today got his 99th win with the Chiefs, right? So you got Matt Ryan gave up the huge comeback to Brady, the 25-point comeback on 2/5, February 5th against the Falcons, 25, in the 97th season, the 25th prime. But you had that Matt Ryan lost to Brady in the Super Bowl. Then you had Russell Wilson, who threw the 21st pass of the game right to number 21 on the Patriots for the pick, when pick equals 21 in Gematria, on the date 2/1 on the down 2nd and 1 as number 21 goes to the ground, securing the game for the Patriots with 21 seconds. And so you had Russell Wilson, who threw that interception, Matt Ryan, and then Andy Reid, who lost to Brady with the Eagles back in the day. And again, just nice three-team parlay, right? Based on the number of the week, seemingly, because it opened on 9-9 with the big 99 ritual with Brady and Gronk. Again, you realize, not only does the NFL share profits between all teams, they share league-wide riddles. And they do that in college football, too. I'll give you a little hint about that. Again, I hardly charge anything on Patreon for the best knowledge in the world of rig sports. Maybe the best knowledge out there, period, because you can use this beyond sports. I hardly charge anything for this knowledge, and for 5 years I did it for free. If you weren't here in those 5 years, that's the problem with not seeking truth. I mean, I was pumping out knowledge nonstop every day for 5 years for free, guys, without taking a day off, 7 days a week for 5 years straight. Showing you how all this worked a million times over, showing you how to call the games before they happen. But again, I advise you to listen to what I had to say about college football before the games were played this week, and then see what happened in the games backing up exactly what I was saying, because I'm pretty sure we already know the college championship this year. And how many times do we got to call these championships before the start of the season, or from the very start of the season, before the whole world takes notice? I mean, and sadly, in the information age, the whole world should have taken notice to this knowledge a long time ago. You know? USA Today, got to thank you. You guys did help bring a lot of eyes to this attention with the January article 2016 making fun of me. Grateful for that. That helped bring people into the community. But notice, the only major publication to try to take a shot at me since then was Vice News. And that didn't go well for them either, you know. Both of them are on the wrong side of the equation because I was dead right in both cases. And anyway, let's just go through the games. It wasn't a perfect day, but it was a great day. And let's do NFL and college. So Matt Ryan did pick up that 99th career loss. Steelers and Bills, I got on the wrong side of this one. I did see that the 17 could go either way. And the Bills had a few more 17s had they won, but they had a 17 going against them. Today has 17-date numerology. It's the first week of the new 17-game season. Josh Allen wears 17. I was thinking he was going to get the better of the 17 riddle, but the Steelers got him. So that was a disappointment. 39 points on the board in the game in New York. You know about New York and 39. New York's 39 land. If you don't, you must be new here, but I've talked about New York and 39 no less than 39 million times on this channel. And don't forget, I've been deleted about 39 million times too. That's why all the content's not here. The Bengals and Vikings, this was a close one. Notice the 51 combined points. Here, Gematria. What we learned is to run the alphabetic order in reverse with numerology as well over time. Look at this. You see how Cincinnati's 51 in the most pure cipher and 66 when you run it in reverse? Today, Mike Zimmer, the coach of the Vikings, fell to 66 and 51 as a head coach. And 51 points scored in the game, right? And show you something else. Remember how Ohio State opened up the season against Minnesota last week? This is Ohio State's 110th football season. So they opened it against Minnesota 110. Today is the day leaving 110 days left in the year. Kirk Cousins played in his 110th game all time today, and the Ohio team beat Minnesota again, just like in college last week. And the other thing is, remember Joe Burrow. He started with Ohio State, and then he transferred to LSU on the same day that the LSU player, only two players have now won the Heisman for LSU, Joe Burrow and the man whose name escapes me right now. But the day that former LSU player who won the Heisman died, that was the day Joe Burrow transferred from Ohio State to LSU, that exact same day. And that same player who won the Heisman with LSU, he also won the championship with LSU, beating Clemson in New Orleans, just like Joe Burrow did. So you have this riddle between college and NFL, which is nothing new. It's like Nick Saban won his 6th championship at age 66 in Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Then the next year, Bill Belichick won his 6th championship as a head coach at age 66 in Mercedes-Benz Stadium. And they both used to coach together on the Browns. But Minnesota, 110, and Minnesota loses both these games to Ohio in back-to-back weeks with clear 110 rituals. Again, college and pro are scripted ritualistically by this simple code of letters and numbers. It's because the Jesuit orders behind all this. The Jesuits gave us the language, the calendar. They control the entire world of entertainment, sports, and they do it all by a script. You know, remember, the Jesuits have been an organized military force longer than the U.S. has been a nation. That's why we're on their calendar, the Gregorian calendar. Okay, the Niners and the Lions. Garoppolo got his 37th career win over Detroit today. You know, kind of a no-brainer. Not an exciting pick, right? But Detroit 37 in the most pure. 37th win for Jimmy G. And again, if you don't want to learn from, well, I mean, you're learning from me right now, but if you don't want to follow me on Patreon, you can't afford, a few dollars a month to learn the knowledge, and you want to go out and practice yourself, I'm going to give you a tip right now. If there's a riddle with a coach and a quarterback that are in conflict with each other, go with the quarterback. It's a quarterback-driven league. A lot of times the coach's riddle's the mirage. Shanahan could have got his 37th loss with the 49ers today, but I wasn't too worried about that. Jimmy G had the 37th win. It's normally the QB. Okay, Cardinals and Titans. I got on the wrong side of this game, too. I saw the danger in this game because, again, I've been expecting the Cardinals to do well this year. It's the 102nd NFL season. Bill Bidwell, the old owner of the team, died on 10/2 a couple years ago. And Cardinals up-and-coming team. There's a part of me that didn't want to go against any black quarterbacks with the black versus white quarterback narrative because, remember, 2 years ago, the NFL announced it is the era of the black quarterback. They said it's officially underway. And remember what happened at the end of that season on Black History Month. The first day of Black History Month, Lamar Jackson named League MVP, Kyler Murray named Rookie of the Year, and the next day, Patrick Mahomes was Super Bowl MVP, all in Black History Month after ESPN and the NFL said it was the era of the black quarterback officially underway that season. So Arizona won and became 8-4 against the Titans. They've done well against the Titans. You see how in the most simple cipher, Arizona's 84? So is Sunday. So is Jesuit. Remember last year they subbed Tom Brady out of Sunday Night Football and bumped in the Cardinals against the Seahawks, and we had the Cardinals for the upset. I even gave that one out for free in the public. And that same day, Pope Francis, the first Jesuit pope, appointed the first black cardinal, and that cardinal was from Chicago, like how the Arizona Cardinals are originally from Chicago. It's their 102nd season this year. So The reason I ended up going against the Arizona 84th, I did warn about it. I mean, I'm not surprised that Arizona won. But had Tannehill won today, he would have got his 36th home win, and Cardinals is 36, and he would have got his 62nd career win, and today had 62 date numerology. Plus, had Vrabel not lost, he would have stayed on 19 losses as a coach, and he plays Seattle next week. A lot of times you'll see a coach or a QB go into the next city with a number connected to that city. So, I mean, there were a lot of good things there for the Titans, but the 84 thing was there for the Cardinals, and yeah, you win some, you lose some. But Seahawks, Seahawks was a game I felt good about. You had the 99 thing with Russell Wilson. You had Pete Carroll picking up his 123rd win. And again, in the most simple cipher, Indianapolis, 123. Remember, these ciphers, the ciphers on the left, the alphabetic order and the alphabetic order with the rules of numerology, those are the better ciphers. They are a lot more consistent than the ones on the right, but it's still good to know them all. Because, again, you can see things like Zimmer fall into 66. Whoops, I spelled Cincinnati with an extra N. 66 and 51 versus Cincinnati. Chargers and Washington. Thought the Chargers looked better here. Ryan Fitzpatrick today, he became 37 and 43. I think that's his home record. 37 and 43 at home in the most pure cipher. Los Angeles 37, right? Chargers 43. You see that in that most pure cipher? Ryan Fitzpatrick becomes 37 and 43 versus the Los Angeles Chargers. Also, big Jesuit ritual, the Society of Jesus. You see, 79, 187. Herbert today became 7 and 9 for his career on his 187th day of his age in the very Jesuit town of Washington, D.C., which is also 187. You know the Yankees-Mets game yesterday? The Yankees got their 79th win on the anniversary of 9/11 in the Battle of New York, and the score was 7-8 because the Mets were at home. So on the scoreboard, it was 7-8. New York 78. Yankees came into the series with 78 wins on a losing streak, and big Jesuit number. But again, you guys, that's who's behind all this stuff. From Osama to the rigged NFL. Now, the Panthers and Jets, I specified this as one of my favorite games this weekend. I can't believe some kid tried to call in last night saying that the Jets were going to win. I was like, are you out of your mind? Are you out of your mind, young man, calling in here saying the Jets are going to win? Are you out of your mind? Sam Darnold is becoming 9-11 away the weekend of 9/11 against his old team, the New York Jets. I mean, this is such a joke, you guys. I gave this video to you the day that Darnold made his debut on Monday Night Football against the Lions. I showed you how Darnold equaled 68, and I said, what are the odds of this, that their new quarterback's name equals 68? And in 1968, that was the Jets' only Super Bowl winning season. And 911 was made the national emergency dialing code, and World Trade Center construction began. And then, a New York Jet injured Drew Bledsoe that gave rise to Tom Brady and the Patriots after 9/11 and the Patriot Act. But Darnold becomes 9-11 away for his career the weekend of 9/11 against the Jets. Again, it's because his entire career is a script. Why do it with Charlotte? Well, here, a couple thoughts about that. Charlotte has Gematria of 102. They said the 9/11 attack lasted 102 minutes, and it was simulated June 1st, 2001 by the federal government with Project Amalgam Virgo, which had Osama bin Laden's face on the cover document. That simulation was 102 days before 9/11, the attack that lasted 102 minutes, and in Jewish Gematria, Al-Qaeda's 102. Charlotte's also where all the banks are. If you guys didn't know, Charlotte's the second richest city in the nation behind New York City, and that's because all the banks have their money there. And as they say, all wars are bankers' wars. All roads lead to Rome. We're talking about the Jesuits and the Templars, who are the original bankers. And again, this is the Roman circus, these rigged sports games, keeping all the men on their fat asses, pacified to tyranny and overtaxation. This is the system. This is how they do it. But yeah, this one kid that calls in, I know he means well, but it's like, dude, why are you calling in and going against Sam Darnold 9/11 riddle on the weekend of 9/11? And just to put it in your face, look how many points the Panthers scored in the game, right? 19. Is that a 9/11 number, 19? Sure is. 19 hijackers. What did I tell you about 2020 5 years before it happened? I said 2020 will be the year of the next New World Order 9/11 type event, and it ended up being COVID-19. Again, script, you guys. 33 combined points. New York, 33. 33 years from 68 to 2001. It's a script. The Jaguars-Texans game, if you would have put a gun to my head and made me pick, I would have taken the Texans today, and it was for this reason. The reason I wasn't confident about this game is because I started tracking a new category in sports this year thanks to this website, StatMuse, and I wouldn't have been able to catch this in past seasons, but I've taught you guys so many times about the Jaguars in 66, and the most pure cipher Jacksonville Jaguars is 66. Houston Texans, when you run it in reverse, also has the... Wait, Houston, I'm missing an N. Houston Texans is 66 and you run it in reverse. Texas even has the 66. Remember, there are 666 new laws by the numbers. If you missed my video on that on GematriaEffectNews, check it out. Number of the beast, 66. But the Jaguars today fell to 6-6 in week 1 on the road. And... I'm sure some people in my community went with it, but I said it might be smart to wait and see on this one because I think we have enough good games out here today that we don't have to play them all. But that's what happened. The Jaguars fell to 6-6 on the road in week 1 in the battle of 266 teams. And keep in mind, in Jewish Gematria, NFL 66, the first Super Bowl season was the 66 season. That's because 66 is the 11th triangular number, and football is a game of 11 on 11. Now, the Chiefs and the Browns, I was all over the Chiefs today. Browns coach fell to 12-7 for his career, 127 days after his birthday. 127 is the 31st prime. And remember, Chiefs equals 31, like how when they won the Joe Montana Bowl the other year, they won with 31 points. That was Super Bowl 54, Joe Montana 54. And remember, after that Super Bowl was won by the Chiefs with 31 points, the story came out the next day that the player for the Chiefs in the secondary, his brother had died at age 31. You know what I mean? Don't forget when Patrick Mahomes beat Len Dawson's passing record, his girlfriend's dad was in the stands, and he dropped dead in the stands at that game. Again, don't forget, that's the sick side of this. People are dying for these games. So the Dolphins edged the Patriots today. This is another game I was a little bit anxious about, but I thought there was a good chance Patriots would lose today because you had a major Jesuit ritual, which we'll talk more about. But today, Bill Belichick, he picked up his 149th career loss exactly 149 days after his birthday. And Tom Brady came into this season with 149 home wins. Remember, last year he won the Super Bowl, and the ref he had on the field worked his first game as a ref exactly 149 months before the Super Bowl, and that was where Brady beat the Chiefs with the Patriots back then. Brady also got hurt in that game, but then 149 months later, Brady wins the Super Bowl over the Chiefs, picking up his 149th home win in the first Super Bowl ever scheduled in Tampa Bay. Yeah, and scripted. Or the first time a Super Bowl was ever played in its home stadium by a Super Bowl team. And remember, last year before the season began, we thought that was probably the Super Bowl. Bucks over the Chiefs. So again, Saints was our game of the day. Saints improved to 7-7 versus Green Bay. Green Bay 77 in the most simple cipher. Jaguars 77 in the Jaguars Stadium. Broncos and Giants, the 25 could have played either way in this game. I would have rather seen the Giants win this one. They had some value as dogs, but this game was dangerous because the 25 could play either way. That's a big Giants number. The game started at 25 minutes after the hour. Denver was a 2.5-point favorite. It's the Giants' 97th season, the 25th prime. They end up going down in typical Giants fashion. But yeah, great day in the NFL. Pretty much our favorite game with the nice big upset, the 77 special. And, 3-team parlay right through with the 99s. How you like to do it. Now, in the NCAA, we had a killer day. We had a killer week. This first game was nothing to write home about, but Kansas fell to 1-1. Kansas equals 11 in the most pure cipher. Again, if you can only take one cipher home, it's this one. But here, college. I want, if you can't sign up for the Patreon and support the work, I'm going to give you a clue, something to think about. I'm only going to give you so much. I could tell you even more, but I'm going to tell you enough for you to think about this. Alabama played in Georgia yesterday, right? Mercer's in Atlanta, Georgia. You see how they won with 48? The score was 48-14. Notice Atlanta's 40. Whoops, let me spell it right. Atlanta's got the 48. You see how Explosion is 129 and 48? Today there's an explosion in Atlanta on 12/9. I'm I'm going to cover that on Gematria Effect News. There's a whole lot to say about that sick ritual. It's just like what they did in Beirut last year. On August 4th, the date that can be written 8448. Atlanta's on the 84th meridian. I'll save that for Gematria Effect News. But you see the 62 combined points? You see how this game was in Georgia 62? Now, did you notice that yesterday there was another game that was all in Alabama yesterday? It was Auburn and Southern Alabama, right? Auburn, where's that game at? Where's it at? There it is. Auburn and Alabama State. Excuse me. Auburn and Alabama State. If you don't know, Auburn's in Alabama as well. So you had this all Alabama game, and 62 points are scored in the game, huh? On this weekend where the football weekend ends on Sunday, a date with 62 numerology. Georgia 62. And I'll tell you what, if you're too lazy to look up prime numbers, this one's going to slip right past you. But Nick Saban got his 263rd career win, and Kirby Smart won with 56 points. How did those numbers come together? So, and who was Georgia playing yesterday? I mean, you know. So, anyway, they give this stuff away. Now, Oregon was a 17.5-point dog to Ohio State. We thought they had a great chance to win. I told everybody you got to have some coverage on Oregon upsetting Ohio State. They're a huge payout. You parlay them with the lock games. I mean, you're talking about a lot of money. And it was right here. It was right here in the most simple cipher. Buckeyes again, 91. Ohio State fell to 9-1 yesterday against Oregon. And Oregon Ducks in your most pure cipher, 51. Ohio State fell to 5-1 at home versus Oregon yesterday. Just like that. Just like that. And Oklahoma, Western Carolina, nothing to talk about there. The Texas A&M coach picked up his 111th career win on the day leaving 111 days left in the year, right? Boom. I thought Colorado to cover was the call for this game, which was the right call. Colorado was a big dog. I thought Colorado had a small chance to upset, but I said, that 111th win on September 11th is probably where it is. NORAD's in Colorado. Remember 9/11 in New York, 111 on the day leaving 111 days left in the year. NORAD was running drills that day that added to the confusion. I'm telling you, all this stuff is connected. Clemson, South Carolina, nothing to say about that game. I mean, just no-brainer game. Cincinnati, Murray State, it was another no-brainer game. The Cincinnati coach picked up something. Oh, he picked up his 37th win, and Racers is 37, the Murray State Racers. Notre Dame over Toledo. God, there was a riddle in this one. We had Notre Dame. I forget exactly what it was. It was a close game. The game was played on 61 date numerology, 61 points. What was it? God, I forget what it was. We had Notre Dame, though. Now, Iowa State was a game I liked. Iowa was the dog on the road versus Iowa State, and to me, this game was a pretty easy call, even though they were the dog on the road. It was right here in the most pure cipher, Iowa 21. It's the 2021 season, and guess what loss Iowa State picked up yesterday at home versus Iowa all-time? That's right. They picked up their 21st loss all-time at home yesterday against Iowa to start the 21 season. Money in the bank. Penn State started with a big upset over Wisconsin. A big old upset over Wisconsin. You know why? Because it's the 152nd football season for college football. Pennsylvania 152. You got senile Joe Biden from Pennsylvania. Joe Biden 152. He was out surveying the field where the missile hit on 9/11 that they tell you was a plane. Again, it was all missiles, I'm pretty sure, on 9/11, you guys. Not so sure about any planes. That's why there wasn't any plane parts anywhere, and that's why there were massive explosions at the buildings, like when missiles hit targets. Just like how they simulated cruise missiles hitting targets 102 days before the 102-minute attack. But you guys want to see how stupid this stuff is? Let me show you something that CNN had on their page yesterday for 9/11 with Joe Biden. Look at this. Look at this CNN yesterday. Jill, what is it? This is how Joe Biden supposedly remembered 9/11. Jill, what is it? Guess what that equals in Gematria? 152. And then they got senile Joe. He probably thought he was in Afghanistan yesterday. Don't forget, we told you Joe Biden would be the 46th president 46 weeks after the Pope's birthday was the election when Catholic equals 46, and he sacrificed his son Beau at age 46, and JFK, the only other Catholic president before, got his head blown off at age 46, at least according to the Zapruder film made by a Jesuit and a Mason. Okay. Penn State yesterday also became 2-0 versus Ball State, and notice Ball State in the most pure cipher, 20, right? We saw that could happen week 1 against Wisconsin if they upset them. It's like, then they could become... You know what? I just noticed that Medvedev won 6-4, 6-4, 6-4. So just straight sixes. You know, sometimes it can go extra if they're forcing the extra sets, but remember in Sumerian gematria, you guys, that's just where you multiply the alphabetic order times 6. New York goes from 111 to 666. You know, U.S. Open in New York. Damn you, Medvedev. He's a good player, though, man. It's rigged, but they're still nice players. They still play the game nice. Florida got to 2-0 yesterday versus South Florida, right? That wasn't a surprise. South, over the South, they're 2-0. There was some more to it. Stanford and USC was iffy. Stanford was a big upset in payout yesterday. They had a riddle to win, but USC had a decent riddle too. So that's some people I was like, USC doesn't have a lot of value. Stanford has a riddle, but I'm just not so sure. Here was the trouble. It was the 97th game between Stanford and USC. You see how Stanford's 97 in the most simple cipher? And they took the game. When it's that way, though, it doesn't always mean they'll win. Had the USC coach won yesterday, he would have got his 47th win over Stanford. So, again, that was tricky. And, God, there was one other thing. The Stanford coach, I think he might have stayed on 37 losses yesterday, Los Angeles 37. I feel like there was one other thing, too, with the Stanford coach. But, yeah, I mean, I'm sure some people in my community took the risk with Stanford because they were a big payout, but I was torn on that game. And, Texas, Arkansas, if I got beat on a game yesterday in college football, it was that one. I didn't have a lot to say about that game, but I didn't see the Arkansas riddle, and they just hammered Texas. I feel like it was even a bigger margin than 40-21. Texas must have scored at the end. Wisconsin was a no-brainer. So Virginia Tech in Middle Tennessee, what was amazing about this game is, remember last week, there was only one ranked game on Friday, March 9th, and it was Virginia Tech versus UNC. And we liked Virginia Tech, the dog, who was a nice payout, because it was the 39th meeting between the two teams, and the Virginia Tech coach, what we saw before the game is he could pick up his 39th win as a coach, and he did that. He got his 39th win in the 39th meeting of the teams in the only ranked game on 3/9. Now, that date could also be written 9/3, right? So this week, the Middle Tennessee coach came in with 95 wins. Notice how Hokies is 95. The Virginia Tech Hokies is who he was up against. And he could pick up his 93rd career loss, right, against the team that was just in this 39-93 ritual the other week. So that seemed like a no-brainer. But here's what's interesting. These numbers have a cult meaning. Like 93 connects to distance and time. The sun 93 million miles away, and the planet Saturn is the only planet with 93 gematria. And they call Saturn the keeper of time. And, you think about 93s, 93 World Trade Center bombing, Flight 93, the first plane crashing into the towers as the clock ticks to 9:03 local. Go back and watch that footage. You've seen it a million times, but maybe you didn't notice the 9:03 thing. Special number for a lot of reasons. Now, to the occult, Saturn is known just like this. Saturn, the keeper of time. You see how that phrase equals 254? September 11th is the 254th day of the year, and North Carolina, who was in Virginia Tech game in the week before, the North Carolina coach on September 11th, the 254th day of the year, got his 254th win. Texas A&M coach got his 111th win. September 11th leaves 111 days left in the year. So I pointed out before the games how that seemed connected. Both of them were playing in games this week that seemed to also pay tribute to the Saturn numbers as they did the week prior. And see, that's the beauty of this knowledge, because these scripts, if you catch on to patterns with teams, you'll notice how some seasons it's like they keep going to that theme. That number keeps coming up for them in their games throughout the year. And you're like, wow, look at how they've just done this through the whole season. And that's how you can see that it's all a script. The The Ole Miss game, no-brainer. BYU, Utah, BYU was a dog. We liked BYU for two reasons. It had to do with the distance for the coaches. The Utah coach, the game was 42 weeks after his birthday. Cougars is 42. He's up against the BYU Cougars. And the BYU coach, it was exactly 48 weeks after his birthday, and BYU's 48. I know there was one more thing in that game that was also there for BYU, but I said, based on the spacing being like that and then playing early in the season and this being the big rivalry, I got to say that that's the lean for BYU who's got the value. So BYU, boom. Miami, Appalachian State, I can't remember what it was, but this game was on 25-date numerology, and Miami had some 25 riddle, and notice they ended up winning with 25 points. And, God, I forget what it was in the stats, though. But Miami, we were on Miami, Arizona State over UNLV. Arizona State had only played UNLV one time before, which is kind of weird because they're close to each other geographically. But Arizona State, by winning yesterday, became 1-1 against UNLV all-time on the 11th. Again, North Carolina coach. So, again, nice big upsets. BYU was a nice big upset for us, Iowa, nice big upset for us. And then Oregon, real big upset for us. So, and then we also learned something huge because I'm pretty sure we got the January 7th game figured out already. We have a history of doing that with rigged football, college and pro, figuring it out right from the start. So that was that. And then, again, today's big disappointment is that Djokovic doesn't finish the prediction of winning all 4 Grand Slams. He comes up just a hair short. But, we're going to hold our chin high. We did great this year off our tennis futures. You hit 3 out of 4. There's nothing wrong with that. And had you rode Djokovic through this whole tournament, you won on every game except for this one. Granted, most games he's a monster favorite to win. But, again, where we get beat, we can always see it with the Gematria. Look at who wins today. Mr. 129 wins on 12/9 in the U.S. Open in America, which is 129 in Jewish Gematria. And again, the reason we thought Novak would be the first to 21 was right here. And he could still be the first to 21. He's just not going to do it in 2021, which is a surprise to me. But you see how his name is 53 in the most pure? Again, he just won Wimbledon 53 days after his birthday. This was the 53rd year of this being the format of Grand Slams. But you see how it's 73 in reverse? That's the 21st prime. So that's why I was thinking at the beginning of the year. I was like, man, he wins all 4. He's going to have 21. And, close, but no cigar. And with regards to the no-hitter yesterday on 9/11, the 9th no-hitter in the baseball season, a game of 9s, right? Remember, the first no-hitter of the season was by the Brewers on April 9th, the 99th day of the year. Prince Philip died that day at age 99. DMX died that day. DMX has the 49 connection. But the Padres had the first no-hitter of the season. And remember that Padres pitcher who got it? He was pitching on the mound for the 8th no-hitter of the season against Arizona. Arizona got the 8th no-hitter of the season against the Padres with the same pitcher on the mound who threw the first one of the season. And then yesterday, the Brewers get the 9th no-hitter of the season, right? So the first one on the 99th day of the year. Brewers get the 9th in the 9th month on 9/11 of all days. What's 9 times 11? 99. Padres 99. Brewers 99. 9 in the season. 9 is completion. But here's why you got to know the ciphers, the base ciphers. You see how Brewers is also 45? In fact, if you just look at the Gematria Brewers, in every cipher, the numerology breaks down to 9. 90 is 9 plus 0 is 9. 36 is 3 plus 6 is 9. 99 is 9 plus 9 is 18. 18 is 1 plus 8 is 9. 45 is 9. 4 plus 5 is 9. Notice when you write out Major League, it's the same thing, right? All of the values break down to 9. In the most pure cipher, it's 45. Like Brewers is 45 when you run it in reverse. 45 is the 9th triangular number, right? 45, the 9th triangular number. Major League Baseball, right? Remember, when you write out Major League Baseball, it's 162 like the number of games in the year. If you just write out baseball and run it in reverse, it's also 162. It's also 54 like outs in a game. It's 18 like Roger Maris with 61 home runs and 61 the 18th prime. Remember Major League, the movie about the Cleveland Indians? You know, the movie that's a big comedy? That's what pro sports are, a big comedy where the scripters are taking advantage of gamblers every day, the idiots who pour into the stadium and pay $20 a beer and get all emotionally worked up for totally rigged games. Again, you have to realize that the people who own this world, like the George Carlin joke, you have owners. George Carlin said that. You have owners. The big club, it's the Jesuits, you guys. You're not in it, right? We're not in it. But Major League, the movie about the Cleveland Indians, the comedy. Remember what we were saying in 2016? Before the season began, we said the Cubs would break the 108-year drought, 108 double stitches on a baseball, Major League 108. Before the playoffs began, before that season began, I knew Houston was going to be good. Houston ended up winning the World Series the next year. But my spring training pick was Cubs to beat Houston in the 112th World Series on November 2nd, Game 7, breaking the 108-year drought. Cubs did win, but Houston got eliminated from the playoffs in the regular season. And the day that happened, I said, okay, I'm wrong about Houston. I said, I'm not wrong about the Cubs. I said, it's still going to be the Cubs November 2nd, breaking the 108-year drought, but guess who they're doing it against? They're doing it against the Cleveland Indians, who were in the Major League Film Series because 108 double stitches is 216 total stitches, and Cleveland's the 216, and this is all a big joke like that movie, Major League, about the Indians. So, again, back in 2016, when I called that, by the way, we didn't know reverse gematria back then, so all I knew was the 108-45. And now 45, the ninth triangular number, and now we get the ninth no-hitter against the Cleveland Indians, which was the third no-hitter in a single season against the Indians, all with Zach Plesac starting on the mound, whose dad, Dan Plesac, used to play for the Milwaukee Brewers. And how many years, again, have I been telling you guys, it's a father-son league. So many of these players who don't know their father, it's because their father, no doubt, is a former player, and they just don't want to tell you. Like LeBron and Nate Thurmond. That's why they off Nate Thurmond 27 days after LeBron scored 27, beating the Warriors, after the Warriors beat the Cavs the year prior, and Nate Thurmond played for two teams, the Warriors and the Cavs, with the same receding hairline as LeBron before LeBron got that new 21st century, whatever the hell kind of hair surgery he got. Okay. But I mean, just everything here, you guys. I mean, just everything here. Brewers win 3-0 on the third no-hitter of the year against Cleveland. What's Cleveland in the most pure cipher? 33, right? Perfect team to get the third no-hitter against. 33. Have I ever told you guys about the time the police officer pulled me over as soon as I left my driveway? And it was right before my house got burglarized. And I just realized in hindsight it was all part of the setup. Because he used to stake out in my house every day until my house got burglarized. Then he didn't do the stakeout anymore. But this was back in 2014. I was leaving the driveway. I had a weed business back then, a delivery service. And, when I got pulled over, I mean, if he wanted to make my life hell, he could have sent me to jail that day. And I was almost surprised that I didn't get sent to jail. I felt in a way kind of lucky, even though I got fucked with and got a bullshit ticket. But this is a real story, and I'm going to tell it to you guys. It's just like how on Christmas Eve 2016, a car crashed through my house on Christmas Eve, and then the police waited a week to sign off on the report, and they signed off on it at the 33rd minute of the day. But this police officer, he pulls me over, and my hands, because I was in a hurry, you guys, my hands, I mean, if you've ever seen sticky fingers, man, my fingers were coated in weed. And I had green fingers. I must have just smelled like a big old weed bomb. I was just out in a grow doing all this stuff. And I was like this every day. So if you think this sounds irresponsible, again, I was always driving safe. And I wasn't doing anything illegal. It's just they decided to fuck with me this day. But I leave my house and he pulls me over immediately. And I'm like, what the fuck, man? Because he just parked outside my house. He's there all the time. I know this anyway. But then he pulls me over this day. And he's walking all around the vehicle. He's like, I'm not sure your headlights are coated. I'm just like, dude, they're the manufacturer headlights. I haven't done anything to them. I said, take it up with Toyota. And he's just walking around. He goes, and then he's like, you know what I pulled you over for? And I said, no. He goes, you were on your cell phone. I said, okay, I wasn't. And you pulled me over as soon as I drove out of my driveway. And when I look back, it's kind of amazing that I was kind of arguing with him in light of the situation, but I was, and I said, I feel like you're just fucking with me, man. I said, is this because I'm exposing masonry? I said, like, are you down at the lodge down the street? I said, here, let me just teach you a little something about what I'm teaching about, which I'm sure you already know. I said, just in Gematria, police is 33, masonry 33, secrecy 33, order 33. I said, what do you think about that? You know anything about this? He goes, well, maybe a little bit. He said, the Masons come down and speak at the lodge pretty often. He goes, I always thought the real number, though, was 3. I thought that's what the 33 was about. This is what the officer says back to me. I said, well, maybe it is. I said, maybe it is about the 3. He goes, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's it. And then he goes back to his car, and then he comes back with a ticket for being on a cell phone. And I wasn't even on my cell phone. I was just like, what in the fuck? And then that day, I was amazed that it didn't become worse. Like, he wasn't giving me a hard time about being covered in weed. But before long, it was just days later that I came home and my door was kicked in and everything was stolen and the house was trashed. And again, you guys, that's for doing this research and this work. It has not been an easy road exposing this shit. And it's bigger than sports. I've been exposing the news and calling what's going to happen in news before it happens. The sports are just extra. But again, you guys, and think about how many times over the years you've seen these news stories with a mass shooting and a 33-year-old shooter, according to the police. I mean, again. Anyway, coming back to Cleveland in 33 and the third no-hitter of the season in Milwaukee scoring 3 runs. Think about the other relationship with 33 and 9. 3 times 3 is 9, right? The 9th no-hitter. And this is why you got to know, like, I wouldn't have seen this. Look at when I write out Indians. Do you see the connection to September 11th? You don't. But then when you run the alphabetic order in reverse, Indians is 119, right? And this happened on September 11th, 11/9. Again, that's why we realized at the end of 2016 that the reverse gematria was the other half of the code. Because so many things like that just fit in. And it's like, okay, that's not a coincidence. On 11/9, the Indians no hit for the 3rd time this year. Same pitcher on the mound all 3 games, and then the final one against his dad's former team. I mean, come on. Come on, you got to be brain dead. There he is, old Dan Plesac, who now works on the MLB network, Don't you just hate it how these guys go from the rig league to then talking about it on TV in suits, keeping it all in the family, keeping it all legit. Drew Brees on the sidelines today watching his Saints beat the Packers. As CBS Sportsline asks you to pay a fortune a month for their picks, and they tell you the Packers are the lock of the week because Aaron Rodgers doesn't lose when he has a chip on his shoulder, and this season he has 10 chips on his shoulder. Put all that shit away. Just look at your Gematria. 77, it's a clear picture. By the way, his dad's name, straight Jesuit order. Just like George Walker Bush, old 177. Jesuit Skull and Bones president sitting on the throne during 9/11, where his daddy once sat 11 years earlier, who called out a new world order, a world freer of terrorism, September 11th, 1990, 11 years to the day. But by the way, Burns, who finished it off yesterday, is wearing number 39. What it just makes me think of is, again, in the most pure cipher, New York's 39. There's only, out of the 50 states, there's only 2 that equal 39. It's New York and Arizona, which was the World Series after 9/11. And, yesterday Arizona won on 9/11, keeping the Mariners on 77 wins. We went 5-0 Friday night. We saw 5 teams that could hit a 77 going into September 11th. Boom, 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 boom. Bigger than the explosions on 9/11, Even more obvious. And Hader was the other part of it. It was 157 days after his birthday, the 37th prime. Milwaukee's 37 and the most pure. But, yeah, again, And it was 46 weeks after. It was 46 weeks after Burns' birthday. No-hitter number. Every single no-hitter this season had a 46 connection. They almost always do. So, yeah, I mean, every sport. It's a perfect script. Ronaldo yesterday on September 11th, that other football, returns to Manchester United, puts in his 119th career goal on 11/9, just treating you like you're stupid. And if you guys are veterans here, you know how much I talk about 201, right? I actually was amazed. I went back and looked at my old website, Free to Find Truth, and I'd been documenting 2001 201 going all the way back to 2015. But I even have a 201 Ronaldo post on here. Remember he was being accused of sexual assault? Look at this. There was a lot to this, but where's it at? Okay. So she was supposedly raped June 13th, the day leaving 201 days left in the year, and her name, Catherine Mayorga, 201, right? The Jesuit number, so many Jesuit rituals. Did you guys see what the Jesuit order did to yours truly on June 13th this year? I went down to Seattle to educate about Event 201, and they had a guy waiting for me on the corner who was there with a laptop and a fold-out table and a huge mega speaker, like a stadium concert sound quality speaker. And this fucking guy sat there all day and blasted it so that people couldn't hear what I was saying about Event 201 and coronavirus. And they fucked us up in March earlier this year, too. They had a team come by, and a guy kept changing his outfit and coming by with a boombox, blasting music. But this is what they did to me on 2013. They drowned me out with Katy Perry's I Kissed a Girl. Can you believe that shit? These fuckers. It's better than having a car crash through your house, but man, did they ruin my trip to Seattle that day. Seattle's a 3-hour drive for me. I had to drive 3 hours each way because of what they did. The whole live stream got ruined, copyright. I couldn't even download the thing. You know, it just, again, you guys, that's why I ask you guys to help support this work. You have to think about how many things are working against me. All of my channels getting deleted and banned. All of my books getting censored and banned. You know, putting up with all this harassment, car crashing through the house, police arresting me in my front yard while I'm mowing the lawn over some bullshit. All this stuff that I've had to put up with, but I've still stayed here pumping out the knowledge and helping you guys out. Most of you guys don't got $1 a month. Come on, man. Hey, by the way, if you guys haven't read my book, it is a real winner, you know. So, anyway, disappointment of the day, Djokovic. And, you know, sorry to the people in Atlanta today that got this. You guys want to see how fucked up this stuff is? You want to see how messed up this is? So you get the explosion in Atlanta on 12/9, right? Kind of reminds me just like, you know, U.S. Open's going on, big sports event. Remember when the Olympics were in Atlanta, the explosion? But explosion 129 and 48, Atlanta's 48. The over-under for the Falcons game today was 48. It's like that all the time when you know this. But they said the explosion was at 1:24 p.m., right? That's the 804th minute of the day. And Atlanta's on the 84th meridian. If you write out 84, it equals 804, right? And this comes on a Sunday. And remember, Atlanta's a very Jesuit town. Arthur Blank, the owner of the Falcons, has the same recognition date as the Jesuits being recognized. What did I just say? I might have just misspoke. Arthur Blank's birthday, September 27th, is the same day the Jesuits were recognized by Roman history. The day leaving 95 days left in the year, the Jesuits created to counter the 95 Theses. I'll make a point about 95 with this explosion here in a moment. But the man on the scene speaking about this was Melvin Carter, whose name is 840. This Sumerian gematria is just where you multiply the alphabetic order times 6. And the neighborhood, it's the suburb of Atlanta, Dunwoody, 95. Big Jesuit number, big Jesuit ritual today. Keep in mind that today's 15 days from September 27th. Atlanta's also 15 when you run it forwards. 15 days from the day leaving 95 days left in the year, the big Jesuit day. You get this clear Jesuit explosion ritual. And do you remember years ago? Do you remember when this flight disappeared, Flight 804? Egypt Air Flight 804 missing. Do you remember the Malaysian Air flight? Do you remember that story, the missing Malaysian plane? From the missing Malaysian plane to this missing Flight 804 was 804 days later. I did a lot of work on this at the time, but, you know, these posts are from 2016, and the Flight 80, or the Malaysian plane work was from back in 2014, if I remember correctly. Could have been 2013. But just, we've been talking about the 84804 thing for this many years, right? And now you get another example of it today, and if you remember this Egypt Air Flight 804 story, they ended up saying that they thought it was terrorism and some kind of explosion went off. So it had to do with an explosion, right? That's the point I'm making. Again, 84th meridian today, 804th minute of the day, and then going back with another ritual and an explosion that we talked about years ago. This is what I mean, how these people work by patterns, and they got our whole language and calendar synced up. If you go back to my old blog and just search 804, there's actually quite a few stories on here showing the 84804 pattern from the missing plane story and beyond. You remember when LeBron James won the finals and then scored 27 and then Nate Thurmond died 27 days later? He wore that Ultimate Warrior jersey after he won it, that this made the headlines, and from the Ultimate Warrior's death on April 8th, a date that can be written 8-4 or 4-8, right? 8-4 or 4-8, but from that day, his death to this ritual was 804 days later, right? And LeBron's born in 84, Godfather 84. Remember, LeBron was born 201 days after the 1984 NBA Finals ended. And when you write out the Jesuit order, it's got the 201 and 84. You know, this year the Bucks were at the White House on the 201st day of the year after Tom Brady's 201 passing yards, and then the Bucks won the NBA Finals on the 201st day of the year. Bucks and Bucks. Tom Brady picked up his 201st career win in history over the Missouri St. Louis Rams back when they were there. But yeah, again, that's why the beauty of my hard work, you guys, is that there's over 30,000 posts on Free to Find Truth. There's a ton more on my new website, GematriaEffectNews. I got books with more documentation. I still have a bunch of videos on the internet, even though 21 channels have been deleted to date. You know, I've put a lot of knowledge out in the world that is so verifiable, so evidence-based, and again, it just connects the whole world from news to sports. Now they're just doing these rituals. I'm sure there's a lot more to the Atlantic explosion than I just even covered, but again, you guys, just remember it's bigger than just sports. They got the whole game rig, and they just got to mock you with numbers too. Like, look at this headline: the September 11th weekend. Supposedly a pair of sweatpants that are meant to exploit the black community that cost $1,190, 119. I mean, come on, man. That they're saying that this is racist, that this is a racist plan to take advantage of materialistic black people who are into the culture of sweatpants. And I didn't realize sweatpants were a black culture thing. I'm a sweatpants guy. So, you know, I love sweatpants. But anyway, that's the way they're carrying this story. Think about how all those overpriced designer brands are all out of Italy, like Rome and the Vatican, you know, and the Jesuits. Again, they control the marketing, they control the mind's eye of the masses, and that's what it is with the expensive fashion, too. I mean, there's more to this number. Here, I'll remind you guys something. Vatican is 119, the first Jesuit pope is 119, all-seeing eye is 119, which is the mind's eye, the pineal gland. And the mind's eye looks like a pine cone. That's why the Jesuits have the massive statue of a pine cone at the Vatican, because they're all about controlling the mind. That's what they got us all. They control us from a young age with all the bullshit. It starts with the religion and then learning about your history in your slave school, the bullshit history of Christopher Columbus paid for by the Catholic Church. But yeah, man, they know how to control people. Market to them, status, you know. Control the herd. So it's never been easier with the television, with the smartphone. But yeah, anyway, we'll leave it there for now, you guys. Learn your gematria, see through the rigging, take advantage of it week after week. We'll be doing it all season on the Patreon. I only charge $5 a month. Might as well be free. And again, I mean, it's amazing that I'd love to see my subscriber count compared to something like CBS. I'm sure CBS has 1 million people paying for their bullshit information each month. You know, people went hard today on the Browns and the Packers, taking the CBS sports line, you know, consensus picks. I was like, how the fuck are they all on the Browns? Like, what? Or are the Chiefs just garbage now? Come on, man. Chiefs got the riddle. But yeah, we knew it was Saints all day. We weren't worried about any chips on Aaron Rodgers. And by the way, did you see Aaron Rodgers' hair for the game? Talk about for the script. That guy looked like he was homeless. He's going to be homeless. He keeps playing like that. Anyway, we'll leave it there for now, you guys. And again, patreon.com /Zachary K. Hubbard. You can get to it through my website, GematriaEffect.News. The link for the Patreon, if you're on your desktop, it's right there in the top right corner. If you're on your cell phone, you just got to scroll down the page to the bottom. You'll see the link for the Patreon. But we do all the college rank games, all the NFL games every week. And trust me, it's a lot of work on my end, man, to go through all the stats and look at everything. I mean, I'm putting in a lot of work. Why don't you guys try doing that? Why don't you guys try doing what I do each week and see how much of your week disappears? So, again, it's a tremendous value what the Gematria community provides for the world. It's also funny how there's a lot of people decoding now with their own Patreons, and now there's people making videos about me. There's like people who don't know that I'm the guy that brought this and they're like, Zach is the shill in the Gematria community. He's trying to, it's like, shill in the Gematria community? Dude, I'm the OG of the Gematria community. There wouldn't be anybody else doing this. Shill, where have I misled you, man? Come on. People don't know what the definition of shill is. If you think I'm a shill, you need to get your head checked, man. You need to get your head checked. Been putting out nothing but facts for a long time. Working my ass off. Trying to wake up the world, man. So, hopefully this woke up a few more people. Appreciate all of you. Till next time, Truth Seekers.